This lesson is going to be about the modal pop-up. So we are sending a message to the user into a function called popup. So let's add that into our project and have our modal pop-up. And we've already selected under the page object the modal 1 object on element from the screen. So we can apply a style to it, and applying a style of display block is going to show it. So this should actually show the object. So this will show the object when we hit start game. We get test content. So we also need to fill out some information here, and of course our close doesn't quite yet work. So we need to take care of that as well within this lesson. We've got our modal body, so this is the body of the modal 1, and setting up inner HTML. And the inner HTML will be whatever the message value is that we've sent through. So we've got select a case, click any of the cases below. So we've got our instructions popped up and ready to go. So we need to take care of a few other things, and that's in creating that interaction, the ability to close all of the pop-up message. So this message, we don't necessarily need an action, we just need to be able to close it from our code. So let's go down below. So let's add in the actions for closing the pop-up. And we do have an element here that this one is called this is close. So we can select that close object and give the ability to close it. We don't need to add it into the page object because this is going to be a one-off type action, and this is going to be always available. So available at the document query selector, and adding in this event listener for the close class is going to take care of closing that pop-up window. So it's going to give the user the option to close it. So selecting close, and we're adding an event listener. And the event is going to be listening for a click. And whenever the click happens, we're going to close the pop-up. We're going to create a new function for that. So it's going to close the pop-up window. And then we also want to add a window object. And this window object is going to be on click. So whenever we click on the window anywhere within the window, if the event object, and we want to check to make sure if the target, because we're listening on the entire window object, so we want to make sure that the target is going to be equal to the page modal, and that's the page modal 1 element. So making sure that that got clicked, and if it did, then we're going to do the close pop-up function. So we're going to invoke that function. So that means that we need to still create that. Let me update how it looks, because I don't want to have the word wrap, so that we have it all on one line. I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's a little bit more visible. So creating our function, so we need a function that's going to close the pop-up, and we've called to that function a couple times in the script. So let's create that function in order to handle that. So this is going to close the pop-up window whenever the user either clicks anywhere off the modal on the X, the close class, selecting the page modal 1 element, and then we're going to apply a style of display none to that element. So it's going to hide the pop-up window. Logic that we have to apply here as well, because this is where potentially we might have another offer that might be made. So there might be quite a few things that are happening here. So this is where we have to add offer logic, and we're going to have some additional game logic that we're going to add in this function. So we're not going to do that quite yet, because we just want to make sure that everything is working. I can close the pop-up, I can refresh, I can click anywhere, and that closes the pop-up. So we've got the messaging system set up, and we need to still add in quite a bit of logic into the game. So that's still all yet to come. So go ahead and add in the modal capability into your project.